Hi there, you lovely lot, and welcome to the latest episode of Pat's Procrastination, brought to you by the Pat's Propaganda YouTube channel. Please do not forget to be subscribing to said YouTube channel. So, welcome in, folks, to episode 49. It is week 16 of the Pat's Procrastination game recap wrap show. Post-game recap wrap show. One day I will get it right. However, the season will be finished, so it'll be fine. But anyway, you might have wanted Elf on the Shelf. However, you have Claire on a chair and Chudders, I'd say in a cupboard, but he's not. He's in his office. So that didn't work. We didn't get the festive rhyming there. But however, welcome into the festive episode of Pat's Procrastination, folks. Hope you are good. Chudders, how are things with you?
Merry Christmas, Claire, and to all our listeners and readers. What another wonderful day in Patriots land we're in for.
If we were just doing about the first half, if they'd have stopped the game after the first half, this would be a party of a festive post-game recap wrap show. Got it right there. However, they did not. They unfortunately had a second half of the game. So here we are to recap it. Anyway, how are you feeling generally about them? Are you okay? Are you disappointed?
Well, as you say,
where's the scale?
Much like this show, it starts off strong and then just petered off and deteriorated. Further and further it went on, really descended into madness. It started off so well. Are you
tuning, folks?
But yeah, I'm sure we were also positive. It was looking good. Aided by probably the Bills misfiring a little bit, but it was looking good. Moving the ball, getting points, red zone. Beautiful throw from Drake May right into the bucket for Butte. You thought this is exactly what we've wanted to see all season. Finally, everything's starting to click, and then it didn't. And it stopped, and it got worse.
Clicking.
It stopped clicking.
Stop clicking.
Yeah, it's another disappointing loss, isn't it? I know you didn't expect the Pats to get beaten quite comfortably by a very strong Bills team, but I think, to be fair, I think a lot of Pats Nation would have.
Yes, of course.
What we wanted to see, really, I guess. And that didn't happen. Obviously, the Patriots were in the game technically right until the end. The onside kick, really. But it was it was just another disappointing way to lose. You looked so promising. You thought, brilliant. Maybe we'll end the season with a good victory on the road at a Super Bowl contender, and we can use this as a springboard of positivity into next season. And it just felt like, no, the Bills decided, right, we're going to turn it on now. You're going to do some very stupid things. Again, penalties, drops, some very questionable play calling, in my view, some individual errors, mistakes, turnovers, and you shot yourselves in the foot.
But there was also some very good play calling, some very good plays. We really should section it into two halves, to be fair. However,
that's fair. And so you all know, I've already banned Claire from talking about the fact that the Patriots are now up to picking 2 in the draft. We're not talking about that, Claire. I know you really want to, but we're not going to.
As everybody knows, I wouldn't want to talk about the draft. I specifically don't want to talk about the draft yet. So everybody listening to this knows that you're full of it by saying that, because it's you that wants to talk about the draft, not me.
And you talk about, you said that word far too many times when I
just everybody drink each time we say the draft. No, I'm kidding. I'm not. I'm not encouraging anything.
So what pleased you on offense, Claire?
Oh, what pleased me? Drake May, Kayshon Boutte, the tight ends.
Like you said, should we sanction this? What pleased you in the first half, Claire?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, exactly. I'll repeat: Kayshon Boutte, Drake May, tight ends. The defense was better in the first half. They're more consistent and improved. John Jones was doing well. Duggar seemed to be better. Mapu showed up a little bit. Although that's there's a two-sided coin on that one. Gibson.
Stupidest plays I've ever seen. That was.
Look, just let me have some good first.
Okay.
Dude, let me open all the nice presents, the books and the chocolate, and then we can get to the socks later. How's about that? You can have all the socks. I'll have all the books and chocolates. Perfume, makeup, jewelry, if anybody's asking. Yeah, pajamas, that kind of thing. Last minute gift ideas. In case Santa's listening.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Unashamed.
So yeah, it was my good list, my good and bad list. My good list did have on first half. My bad list had on second half. So yeah, it was a game of two halves, as they like to say. But I'm loving, obviously, the dynamic between Drake May and the two tight ends, and how Hunter is slowly progressing into that other kind of binky, if you like, ish progressing. You're not going to have two T1s, are you? So it's, yeah, I love it. For me, that's a wonderful, let's go smushy here. That's a wonderful Christmas present for me. Is some great tight-ended relationships with the quarterback to take into the new year. There you go. Go on, what was good for you then, as they say?
Well, no, I'd obviously say similar. It was a good first half. May was moving the ball. You could say there was some good sequencing and playing. I know I've been critical of that. And the run game was relatively effective there in the first quarter. And you thought, here we go. This is an offense that we'd like to watch more.
Here we go. Sorry,
I think
over-caffeinated.
Nog already this morning.
No, over-caffeinated. It's too early. I haven't had enough sleep. It's too early.
It was all good. It was all positive, and then it just all deteriorated. It's worrying that it did, and it did on both sides of the ball. I think that the defense came under more pressure because I think the Bills started to play a bit better as the game went on.
Yeah, they gained the momentum. Yeah.
And momentum. You're right, but then the Patriots shot themselves in the foot. Stevenson again turning over the ball. That's starting to become a real worry because I think he even had a couple where he spilled and managed to recover it. But this again, first of all, with his run, he wasn't able to. Then I've got to say, I think it was a bad decision and a bad throw from Drake May, as well as bad hands and a bad catch, or a lack of catch, I guess, for what turned into a touchdown for the Bills. Though that's, I think, first of all, it really was a bad decision to make that play. I know it's what may have been called, but that's where you should be able to read how the play is going to unfold, because even if Stevenson had caught that two-handed, he was getting tackled for a loss there.
Yeah.
It wasn't the smart play to do. You'd almost been better throwing it into the stand. Second of all, just throwing it backwards or laterally rather than forwards, not dropping back. Maybe I'm not sure exactly whether that was positioning of Stevenson or May, but that was a mistake. The throw itself, I thought, was a little high. You'd still expect Stevenson to catch it, but that's not the ideal spot for the ball to be placed. And obviously, then bad execution. It was.
So was he on your bad list then? Was Stevenson on your bad list?
Yeah, Stevenson's got to go on the bad list. I think he generally ran more effectively, to be fair.
Yeah.
But when you turn the ball 2 times in a relatively close game where those cost you the game.
Yeah, I think it felt like it did. And the other thing is, I heard them say, I don't know if it was on the broadcast or after the broadcast, I think he's dropped the ball 7 times this season. And I'm not certain the percentage of what those are. Like you said, these were the ones in this game were sort of game ruining mistakes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And I need to add on the bad list 75 Jacobs. He's just, if we had a better tackle, we'd be talking about.
Our tackle, is he?
No.
And that sounds harsh, but that's the reality, because the reality is the 31st ranked team with the third, I think surely must be the 32nd ranked offensive line, and it doesn't fit. He's not an NFL tackle.
I hate saying it about players because, especially players that on the field look like they are trying. When a player just looks like he can't be asked, and that's a different matter. But I hate saying it when it does look like a player is trying and he just doesn't have it. And it's harsh, but it's the reality of the sport. And you need to have a skill set. And yeah, I hate it. It's horrible, but yeah, we need a tackle. And I can't help but sitting there thinking, if everything else had been the same on that field, but they'd have had a better tackle, would we be looking at a slightly better game, different game? Okay, don't give me slightly. It's Christmas. Come on. I know you're a curmudgeon, but seriously, I didn't know you were the Grinch.
I'm the Grinch and Scrooge all rolled into one, aren't I? Yeah, I mean, it's obviously an area of need in the off season. The Pats need better tackles. I didn't say the D word. It's been coming out of your mouth, madam. They need tackles. He isn't one, and you got to say Vidarian Lowe on the other side as well.
Yeah,
it's just not tackles.
All we want for Christmas is two good tackles.
Yeah, with a better line, maybe it would have held up better. But you can't start playing that, as you like to call it, the ifs, nuts, candy and butts, or whatever it is.
Ifs, nuts, candy and nuts, and we don't have a very Merry Christmas.
The reality is the Bills weren't firing. They are a Super Bowl team. It's kind of what we discussed last week, though, because we thought they'd just come off two really impressive wins against, I think it was the Rams and another team.
Ooh,
right?
I can't remember
now, but a top contender, Lions, of course it was. They'd just come off two very, very good wins. And we thought, okay, they should be looking at this as an easy win for them. And we didn't make it that way. We got off to a hot start, and that's brilliant. That's what we want to see. The reality is, when you assess it, it's because the Bills weren't as fired up as they have been recently. And it's the brilliant thing the Patriots had for a long time, as we discussed before, where you could win on an off day. And that's kind of what the Bills did. It's the mark of great teams when you can win on your B game. But the Patriots showed when they're on their A game, they can keep up. And they were in the first half. They weren't in the second.
Unfortunately, they went to the Y game in the second half, so it was very unfortunate.
Why are some of these players playing? Is that what you mean? Yeah, it's hard to say. On offense, it was good, and it was very, very bad. But I guess that's almost systematic of what we've seen this season. We've had some good plays. We've had some good games from certain individuals. Like you say, the tight ends. I thought Hooper had a better game than Henry did. But the tight ends...
He did. Hooper had.
Go on.
Let me throw stats. Let me just find the stats. Yeah. Hooper had 5 targets for 4 receptions. Henry had 9 targets for 4 receptions, which is really unlike him, to be fair. He's usually much more reliable than that. Stats-wise. On the field, he was good. There was a block. Somebody did a really good block, and I just need to quickly shout it out because I want to add it to my good list, just for some specifics. Great blocking by... I'm so good, I can't read my own writing. Bute for the Stevenson touchdown at the start of the second quarter.
We can jump ahead because you'd like me to do this. Bute got my underrated player of the day. I thought he had a good game.
Cool.
Receiver, like you say, block, touchdown, straight in the bucket. He didn't have to do anything with it. That was beautiful to watch. Just a phenomenal throw from Drake May. He got my underrated player of the day. 5 for 7 for 95 and a touchdown is a good stat line, as well as I think he didn't have a run. I'm wrong. I'm saying that. But yeah, no, you got underrated player of the day. Go on, something important here.
I have an underrated player, I think.
Oh,
I'm going to
wow.
throw John Jones on
Well,
there.
first ever Claire underrated player of the day, and she's gone for John Jones.
I think I've done a couple before, once or twice. But yeah, he had a nice punch out in the fourth quarter, and he was a bit more.
But
Oh,
was
yeah, I didn't say.
It was a good punch out. I
I
agree.
didn't say he was perfect, but
No,
there
that's
was
not
something.
Other players would rush in to get it, but
There was something I haven't made a note, but earlier in the game, I think he had good coverage or something. But he was, yeah. I haven't seen. I feel like I haven't seen him for a while, and then all of a sudden I was seeing him here and there. So that's why I sort of click underrated. And Duggar has mainly first half really seemed to suddenly improve because he's had a bit of a decline, and I know there's been comments since he had his contract and stuff like that. But to be honest, the first half in general, I think I could list off quite a lot of names in the first half of that game to say how these players look like they're shown up, that they were playing with more energy, they look more dynamic and things like that. So it really is one of those game of two halves. So if you haven't seen the game, folks, and you're listening to this, apologies for the spoiler alert. Oh, just watch the first half. When it hits the second half, just go and have a mince pie or whatever. You know, go and have eggnog coffee when it's
to be honest,
the second half.
check yourself into an asylum, I think, as well, because if you're a Patriots fan and you think, oh, the Patriots played yesterday against the Bills, I must go and watch Claire and Ben before I watch the actual game. You clearly are insane.
Possibly. Unless you did an injection of festive spirit first. And then where else would you go?
Where else would you go? Special teams.
Special teams.
Trick play.
Oh, love it.
You like that?
I do. I do like me a bit of special teams.
What did you think overall on the aggressiveness of Gerard Mayo this week?
In the first half, it was better. In the second half, it was less so. He's like everything, inconsistent. It's just lacking in consistency.
I agree. It seemed.
So, what are you getting at? I feel like you're getting at something particular with that question.
It seemed erratic. I'm someone who generally is more go for it, and but it's to a control point, I think. So with going for it on fourth down, all for that, I thought it was brilliant, well executed play, brilliant, kept the drive going. But then things like when you start lattering the ball on the last play of the first half, that was too far, and I'm assuming that's what they'd been told to do, and that wasn't like the game against the Raiders the other year where players were going off script too much.
We don't discuss that.
And it was just ridiculous execution. But it almost felt like that same sort of thing was going to happen when they started doing those laterals. I was like, well, what are you doing? Just get out of bounds. Let's not get carried away here.
And they punted it away. Was that the second half when they should have?
And then second half punting it away instead of going for it. And for me, I think I should have gone for it. It felt at that point that it was more damage limitation. I feel like that because the reality was, I don't think he was 100% confident his defense were going to necessarily stop them, because come the way the momentum had been going in that second half, the Bills were moving the ball more fluidly, still not as perfect as they have been other games, but they were able to move the ball pretty much as they needed to. So it's not that I thought he would be thinking, brilliant, right? Yeah, we'll put the ball away. We're going to 3 and out, and then we'll get the ball back, and here we go on a charge. It felt more like, well, this is the safe thing to do. This is the sensible thing to do. So we're not giving them the ball at midfield, and we're down 3 scores or whatever it was at that stage. And that just it felt. I may be wrong, and I know you'll probably tell me off for saying this, but it almost felt like it was damage limitation, and he was making a business decision for his job. He didn't want to be coming out of this game getting blown out, and he thought, let's do the safe thing, and if we get it back, and kind of the way it played out, you got it back with 5 minutes left or whatever it was. You had a drive, got a touchdown. You were technically still in the game until the last play. It worked out that way, but had you, with your earlier decisions, put your team in the best position to win that game? Probably not. It just felt very, very safe, and I think he's coaching with a bit of fear at the moment. I don't think he's confident and convicted, which I understand why, but I don't know.
I see your point. Don't completely disagree at all. I don't know if I sort of, when I was watching it, thinking back now, obviously hindsight and stuff, but when I was watching it, I just, it felt more like sort of he'd lost a load of steam. It was as if he used everything good up in the first half, and then the second half was just like kind of thing. Almost as if they ran all the plays and they did all the things that they knew they could do well in the first half, and in the second half they'd run out of all that type thing. But yes, it goes to what you're saying. I can see your point, and I mean, there's been a lot of media chatter, hasn't there? There's been. I'm sure it's difficult to ignore, even if he knows that he's secure in his job. And I hate that, because they shouldn't have to deal with that, really. But there's been a lot of media chatter about him on the job, that kind of thing. But
I disagree.
I don't think he is.
I disagree about it being unfortunate, not good, because we're all going to assess how he's performing. And so there's two questions around this. I like that you brought this up. There's two questions I was going to ask you around this.
No.
One on the media reports, and Schefter, who is obviously, he only ever says something for a reason. And it may not be the most obvious reason he's saying it, but he says things for a reason. And his wording is always very carefully chosen. And he said the Kraft family also stands behind him. Ownership has stood behind him and is not planning to make any changes. But there's always 3 weeks left for him. That's carefully chosen words.
Yeah. Who said the but, though? The Crafts or Schefter? That's the thing. Everybody is entitled to an opinion, and nobody's opinion is fact.
I don't think they'll get rid of Mayer. The other thing, I think they said, I'm sure I heard it on commentary or something like that, where it was along the lines of, well, if the Pats get blown out these last 3 games, the Crafts aren't necessarily expecting 3 wins, 2 wins, or even necessarily 1 win, because it's a tough last 3 games of the season, but they want to see the teams going in the right direction. And that's where I think that's the sort of thing that possibly plays into his decision about punting the football. Because he thinks, okay, well, if I can come away with this and it was a 1-score game, 2-score game, but we ran out of time and really we weren't going to win the game, which is kind of the way it played out. You weren't the better team.
You could argue, though, that by playing it safe, he puts himself more at risk, because they see him as a business manager who's just interested in his job. They don't want a guy whose sole thing is, I need to keep my job, although I don't blame him for wanting to keep his job. They want a guy who's passionate about football, playing football, demolishing it type thing. So
they want he's going to go and win games.
So that could work against him.
Whatever the way it's playing out. And in the first half, it was working. What changes did you make into the second half? Did you make changes and they were the wrong changes? Did you not make changes and you should have made changes? Because, like you say, it was a game of 2 halves. Everything is going to get super analysed. You've now got a tough game, two home games, and I think the Crafts would like
they will win one of them.
Yeah, the Crafts would like to think you should win one of these.
They will.
Prove to me you're going in the right direction. you're playing two teams who are in various levels of playoff hunt. Chargers, who are still fighting to be in. I think they're not eliminated. I think they're still fighting to be in.
Yeah,
And
no.
Bills, who obviously are secured already in, but they're potentially fighting for their playoff berth, or exactly where they're going to sit in that. I'm fairly certain they're going to finish the 2 seed, but they'll want to secure that. And I don't think they'll want to ease up on the Patriots, to be honest. I think they like having their foot on our throats, to be honest. And to be honest, as they showed yesterday, even when they're on an off day, they can still beat you because they're very good, very talented, everything else. So it's going to be interesting to see how this season plays out now. And this feels weird because we keep agreeing on points today, Claire. I don't know what's wrong with us, but I think you're right that how are the Crafts going to read that? Are they going to see someone who's coaching too cautiously and to some extent selfishly for his own job rather than for the betterment of the team, putting players in the best opportunity to succeed? And do they still have true conviction that their decision was right? And this is where I think it's to some extent selfish on Robert Kraft, because I think he, likewise, he wants to win games, he wants to win Super Bowls, but I think we criticized Bill for quite a long time that one of the main things he was still coaching for was to beat the record.
Okay, you did. That's on you. I'm not.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not.
You don't, but I think 99% of Patriots fans and media think that he was coaching for the record.
Okay.
Okay. I think Kraft, and I'm not saying he would give up ownership, but I think Kraft's main ambition now, he would love to win a Super Bowl, he'd love to win a division, he'd love to have the Pats firing again, is Kraft wants to get into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
And he keeps getting snubbed. And I think part of the way that they will go with this decision about keeping Mayo and even the coordinators and Elliot Wolf and the whole management changes that they essentially brought in last year is, I think, part of them will be thinking, how will this look to the outside world? And because it's a risk for them. It's a risk that they could decide to blow it up and make changes. Go, you know what, Elliot? That's the worst recruiting we've had in the last 25 years, 30 years, whatever. That's the worst draft class, the worst free agent signings. This is horrific. We had the worst season we've ever had last year, and we've got worse. It's your fault. You're gone. He might think, you know what, Gerard, you're an amazing guy. We sat on the plane and we had a great conversation. I still love you. I think you're an amazing guy, but you're not a winning coach in the NFL. And they decide to make wholesale changes, and it's for the betterment. And then the outside world goes, Kraft had the balls to do it. Even, it was after such a short change, but he had the balls to admit when he made a wrong choice and he corrected it. And it could be seen as a positive that way. Or obviously, if it goes negatively again, then they go, oh, they've changed the coach 3 times in 3 years. And, how much of the detractors come away from now, and they think, well, how much of it was Belichick? How much of it was Brady? And was Kraft too involved? Or, it goes against him and his case. And likewise, conversely, you keep Mayer in place. And if the Patriots are not much better next season, then they're going, hang on, did he make a stupid decision 6 years ago when he decided that Mayo was going to replace Belichick? And look how stubborn he is. He won't change his ways. And it obviously can go either way, but I do think that's going to play into the minds and affect the decisions they make around the front office, if you like, the coaching staff of the Patriots. It's going to be some element of what looks best for Kraft. And that's going to be a problem, in all honesty, I think.
I think he's a little bit of damned if he does, damned if he doesn't, though, because if he gets rid of Mayo, he made a bad assessment 5 years ago or whatever. he didn't give him a chance to shine, you know, to develop. Sorry, if he does get rid of him, no, if he doesn't get rid of him, it could be, well, he had the balls to stick by his choices, but it'll be, oh, he only wanted to prove himself right. He's sticking with the easy option rather than ripping the band-aid off and moving on, that sort of thing. So in a way, in his defense, I can see that he can't really win, especially with this kind of media, curmudgeon media. But I don't disagree with what you were saying. So
yeah, you need to. I need to find something that we can fight about, Claire.
Okay, what?
No, but you're right. He can't win, but he can if he makes the right decision.
Yeah, but hindsight's yeah. Okay.
Yeah, hindsight's easy. If we'd have won 10 games this year, it'd be going, oh my gosh, this is why didn't we get rid of Belichick earlier? We could have won even more Super Bowl. Like, yeah, hindsight's easy. If it had gone well, it'd been a great decision. The recruiting class had been phenomenal. You'd have gone, oh, why didn't we let Elliot Wolf run the draft for years? You know, Belichick destroyed us, so it's going to take us a bit more to recover. But the reality is, it didn't. We have, and this is the second question I was going to ask you. Comparing ourselves to last season, and last season was so bad, do you think we are a better or a worse football team than last season?
See, for me, it feels like we are a better team, even though we are doing worse, because it feels like we have several good players and we have a future. We were lacking in a future last season because we didn't know, you know, Mac Jones had really regressed and turns out he might not be so great and things like that. And we didn't have guys on contracts and that sort of thing. So as a Patriots fan, just looking at it, it feels we're in a better place maybe because we know what's going forward as such. We've got prospects with the, you know, in the D word and free agency and stuff like that. So I don't know, maybe I'm just having, the other thing is I have a really bad memory, so, which everybody knows, so I'm like, I can really focus on like recently and I'm feeling great, so it's fine.
How are you feeling great?
The first half of this game was so entertaining, was so wonderful. Christmas is in a couple of days. We've got Drake May, we've got Hunter Henry, we've got Hooper. Say that bit again.
The more recent thing was us blowing a lead and losing a game of football.
Look, you choose to do it your way, I'll choose to do it mine.
I just trying to understand how your mind works.
That I want to be happy. Because I so just want to be happy. Because this life can be really, really not great. So I'm trying to look at.
I'm gonna be in trouble now with myself here because I'm gonna have to say it. But the reality is, one of the most positive elements. Drake May is a very, very probably the most positive element of the Patriots right now. Probably the second most positive element of the way this season has played out. Information we didn't know already, if you like, is that we're picking second in the draft. That's the hope. That's the sad. I wish it wasn't that way. But the reality is, okay, if we're looking ahead.
I have a question for you.
We're in a position to rebuild with better tools than we are. Go for it.
This draft, saying the D word right now, isn't projected to be very great when it comes to talent. And that's, I mean that with no disrespect to anybody that's going to be drafted.
They're going to be so snubbed when they watch this.
Well, I know, right? Because like everybody does not. So yeah, it is projected. It's said by the masses, the guys who actually know what they're talking about, that this draft isn't necessarily heavy on talent. If it were, would you be rooting for losses more than you are? You don't want to pick second because there's no real value. There is, but there isn't because of the lack of quarterbacks and stuff like that this season, this year coming. Would that affect you, do you think?
I would love the Patriots to draft one every year. And I'm not saying because they're the worst team every year. because they've made trades and they ended up with, like Chicago did, and having the first pick in the draft or higher. I'd love the Patriots to pick first every year, and you're getting the best talent.
Okay, no more draft speak because we need to move on before we run out of time. Okay.
Or you're in the best position to be trading that pick away. Like you don't need the quarterback that's going to go once. You trade it away and you pick up more picks.
That wasn't my point.
I know it wasn't, but I'm trying to make it more applicable. In as much as I know what you're saying about the quality in the draft, and picking second, there's a very good chance the Patriots may not even be able to find a trade partner there.
Exactly.
Or they're having to overdraft a player if they go for an O-lineman who's not graded as the second best player in the draft, or if they go for positional need, or they go for a player maybe like Travis Hunter, who arguably is one of, if not the best player in the draft, and you're picking purely on raw talent for the position you're drafting, but isn't necessarily one of your top needs. So it's there's problems with picking two, but I'd rather have problems picking two than picking seventh, even, let's say. Let's not get crazy. And your choices are even less. Your rebuilding are even harder. So I'm not rooting for the Patriots to lose these games. I'm rooting yesterday for Vegas to win their game and for the Giants if they manage to somehow win another game. And the teams around them to win games to solidify the Patriots' position, picking as high up the draft as possible, because you are dearth of talent. And it's not even just round one, because it's the round two, round three picks as well, where you want to be picking as high as possible there, because we've seen it when you get to the start of the second round last year and there's a run on receivers and you go, well, hang on, I'd rather have the first choice of receiver than the fifth, unless you're the Patriots and then you trade away your draft pick and you watch all the good receivers go and you pick up someone who shouldn't even be on an NFL team at the moment, because Polk didn't even contribute today.
Pushing to move it along because people have Christmas things to do, gifts to wrap, coffee to drink, stuff to buy.
You want to talk about Chargers?
Yes.
Right, before you do, I've got one more question then for you. What's your Christmas wish for the Patriots?
Did they beat Buffalo?
Last game of the season.
Yeah. Okay. Beating Buffalo makes me very happy. So yeah, I want them to beat Buffalo.
My realistic Christmas wish will be that by the end of the season, you've solidified 3 of the O-line positions. Which is, and I say realistic, and maybe I'm in.
Yeah, but if they do, are they solidified with not very great players?
No, I mean you have players you're happy going forward in those positions. Like we've talked about before, you don't want to be going this off-season thinking I need 4 or 5.
Oh,
I'd love it if we thought, okay, we've got 3. We need a tackle and a guard, or 2 tackles. But we don't need all 5 here.
I thought you meant at the end of the season. Sorry, as in the end of after the final Bills game, by the final Bills game is what I thought. You were a bit more specific than, because if come the Bills game, they know what they're doing with the O-line, or the end after the Bills game. Well, that's not great, because what they've got as an O-line isn't great. We need to see what's out there in free agency and the D-word and stuff like that. So,
but my point is, okay, let's say
I don't think I'm understanding you completely then.
Cole Strange has come in and he's playing well at centre, and you think, okay, David Andrews may be back or not next season, but Cole Strange, he can play centre for us. Because we already know Ben Brown isn't going to be the solution there. So you think, okay, that's sorted. Onwenu, happy with how he's playing. City South, whoever it is, someone steps up, but you have confidence in 3 of the positions.
And I understand your point now.
probably not, but that's where I'd like to think, okay, if you can, by the end of the season, as many of those O-line positions as possible, you now have talent that you think is gelling and playing, not even amazing, but solid enough that you're not thinking, okay, I need to look at all 5 positions here.
I see your point. I don't disagree. I'm sticking with my Bills win though, because I don't think, personally, sorry, my opinion, I don't think that's feasible. I think they need to go into free agency and the D word more to look at what we need to see more of what there is and stuff like that. If they come at the end of this season knowing that most of what they've got, most of their O-line, then I'd be concerned, because I don't think the O-line as it is set well enough. So for me, I'm not, you're entitled to your opinion and that's cool. I'm not I'm just saying, I don't get with that with it. Yeah.
I agree. If the season was over now, I'd agree. That isn't the case. My hope is these last 2 games, we get some good play, and it's unrealistic to think we're going to think, oh wow, this O-line's now phenomenal. We've got all 5.
Yeah.
But let's get 2 really, really good performances all game by 3 players on that O-line that we think, okay, yeah, they're part of the solution, not the problem.
Yeah, okay, that's totally fair. I still want to beat the Bills. I enjoy beating the Bills. It's gives me tingles and it's wonderful. So I definitely want that. Plus, I'd win a bet because they won one out of the stuff.
Would it? Let's say the Bills have already locked up the 2 slot going into the last game of the season, and they rest all of their starters. It's a completely meaningless game to them. All they want to do is get out of it with no injuries.
That's not as fun, no.
But this was going to be my question: was would you still be?
I'd still want
them rooting, because the reality would be in that position, it does almost. The Bills almost want to lose that game because it does their divisional rivals more harm, because they could now be dropping from 2nd to 7th in the draft order if they lose that game and the Patriots win.
It is a tough one, because I am still motivated by a win against the Bills. It is that cut and dry for me as a Patriots fan. I hate the Bills passionately. And whilst it's not as fun if you beat their practice squad, if you like, or whatever, I still like beating the Bills.
Let's go with that then. So Chargers at home this weekend. What do you reckon, Claire?
21-20 win by the Patriots.
Have I won this predictor competition now already? I think 2 games left, surely.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't get it back now. I can still win my how many, 1 win after the bye, because I predicted at least 1 win after the bye. I'm still in with it for that.
Sandwich win this year, I think now, isn't it?
Say again.
The only sandwich you would win this year of our bets, isn't it?
I think possibly. I'd like to go back and check the notes, but I think possibly that's my last chance.
Okay.
Frankly. I might have to stop betting. It might be in my best interest to not bet any more sandwiches, quite frankly.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Well, where's the fun in that, eh? So what are you going?
I'm predicting another loss. Quite close. I've gone 24-21. The Chargers need it. They're more hungry than you. They need this victory more than you will. And you need it for your own positivity vibes. And I'm not saying the Patriots are trying to lose. The reality is you will be seriously getting into the position now where teams are making, players, individuals are making business decisions. And you've seen it, and this is not getting away whatsoever, but this is what you've seen with Barmore. And they've thought, you know what, we've spotted something, we're shutting it down. We're not gaining anything from you going out last couple of games of the season when it could do you far more harm than good. So you're going on IR, you're done for the season. Let's give you 7 months off and go again next year. You're going to start to see similar from some players now who think, do I want to be diving into there and I could come out with an injury and it affects me if I'm going into free agency? Or, okay, he's caught that ball and he's got it for a touchdown. But
Yeah.
I'm on.
Mm.
The reality is you're an awful team, and that's the sort of thing that's going to happen. And I wish it wasn't. It's going to be tough. The last game will be interesting, depending on the what's in it for the Bills.
Yeah, that's true. But we still have another game before that. And you'll still have another episode of Pat's Procrastination, folks. So we will be back to wrap the Chargers game. Date to be determined. So as always, keep an eye on the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you never miss an episode. Duh. So yeah. So I think that is it for the festivities. Because it'll be after Christmas when we come back. We'll be very close to 2025 as well.
It will. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Happy holidays to all who celebrate. So, are we done?
We're done.
We're done. Well, that's it, folks. We're done. We're now off for Christmas, as they say. So, tune in next time. Happy holidays. Keep warm and well, everybody. And as always, go Pats.
LFG.